to keep on caging Nnamdi Kanu had no business being incarcerated this long. I say it, and I'm very, very vehement about it. Nnamdi Kanu has not committed the kind of sin or the kind of atrocities, the kind of constitutional infraction any Nigerian has committed. Now, you have people like Sunday Igboho, who was arrested with arms. Igboho is going about doing whatever he's doing. Now, you have several kingpins, whether they are bandits, whether they are terrorists, or whether they're anything they are called, they are free and going about their businesses. Nnamdi Kanu is simply expressing his constitutional and humanitarian right. And so to keep on caging Nnamdi Kanu or incarcerating him is not only a disservice to humanity, is also a great constitutional crisis that will come into this country. Let me take it from this point.
Alright guys, welcome to my channel. Guys, so Nnamdi Kanu's matter is really raising a lot of concern. A lot of organizations have spoken about it. Presidents, countries have called on the Nigerian government to forgo and pardon Nnamdi Kanu for the young man to go, right? But then there had been some sort of rejection, right? We know very well, a lot also has been saying that Nnamdi Kanu's case is definitely going to destroy the country. I don't know how that is possible, but then I think, in my own opinion, that what is happening right there is some political game that is being played by the southeastern governors based on what they believe or what they think, that if Nnamdi Kanu comes out from where he is today, that is definitely going to be very difficult for them to be operate in the authority of which they ought to as governors of the state, all right? Because looking at these things, they actually concluded within themselves that no, if we allow this man, it's definitely going to be very difficult for us, all right? Now look at it from this way. Nnamdi Kanu came up with something called stay at home, all right? That stay at home order, ever since the stay at home order was initiated, from that day till now, till today, it has been repeatedly observed. That is to tell you that if Nnamdi Kanu comes out tomorrow, it's going to be very difficult for these governors to have their way like the way they've been doing with their citizens. So we're also going to allow you to see and hear the opinions of others, and while they actually believes that if the government is not careful enough, then Nnamdi Kanu's case is definitely going to swallow the name of this country. So let's see how that will happen.
Or incarcerating him is not only a disservice to humanity, is also a great constitutional crisis that will come into this country. Let me take it from this point. How do we explain a situation? A man who has stood up clearly that what he is fighting for is the marginalization, perceived marginalization of a certain set of people in this country. And it has a historical anecdote. Now, what is the historical anecdote? The certain people, the Igbo people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, over the decades have been marginalized in this country. It is not a matter of allegation. It is not a matter of perception. It is something that is as strong, as visible, seen everywhere. And then Nnamdi Kanu has stood up as the only person that consistently over the years and had said to everybody that my people are suffering, that my people are not enjoying what they are supposed to enjoy in the country called Nigeria. On account of that, he stood up and questioned the Nigerian state. So now, the Nnamdi Kanu issue is a multi-layered issue. First of all, you need to understand that there is a legal perspective to it. There is a political perspective to it. There is an economic perspective to it. There's also a socio-economic perspective to it. Now let's look at the legal side of it. This is a man that was arrested in 2022. 2021. And when he was arrested, what was he arrested for? The charges were terrorism, treasonable felony, and managing an unlawful society. Now, those are the three things that he was accused of. Now, they went on trial. By 2017, the court granted him bail, and he came out. By 2022, when they attacked his house, in Umuahia, the natural instinct for somebody to survive is to see how he can survive. It's just to find a way to exit the environment where he was being attacked. And so he fled the particular scene, and he's fleeing of the particular scene, he finds himself in the UK or wherever it is. And on account of that, they said he has run away. Now, the point being made is that while he was there, an arrangement was done to get him from Kenya, where he went to, and brought him back to the country. Since then, the legal issue has remained the way it is. It's not been moving forward. It's not going back. There has been a sustained effort directed by not only directed by the state, but there's some political contending interests within the Nigerian state, within the Igbo elite, within the political class to keep to put Kanu down. So, in the helicopter view, the Kanu phenomenon, the Kanu issue, is one issue that can consume the Nigerian state if it is not well managed. It is beyond the rhetorics we keep on talking about. The Kanu issue is an exemplary issue to show how we can manage a country. And if that is not done properly, if it is not done methodically, if it is not done with a sense of genuineness on the part of the Nigerian state to see how they can have a political dialogue, manage the situation, it will definitely create more crisis. Of course, as we speak now, the Southeast is agitated. There is a plan of a protest that is coming up. Now, the nature and the reason the entry of that particular protest, that we're also trying to analyze. But the one thing remains that there is a very large number of population of Nigerians, whether they're from the Southeast, whether they're from the South, whether they're from the Southwest, whether from the North to the North. Everybody has one particular focus now to getting Nnamdi Kanu out of the place. Then you ask yourself, why is it now that the whole focus, the attention is for Nnamdi Kanu to come out? Is it for the purpose of securing a political capital? That is the question we need to ask ourselves. Why would it be at the timing now that is happening? Well, whatever timing it is, we're all interested. What we're interested in is Nnamdi Kanu should be left off hook and let him rejoin not only his family. He has a right, because as we speak, his health is bad and he has to go and take medical treatment wherever it is. So finally, regarding Nnamdi Kanu, my position is Nnamdi Kanu has not committed any sin which all the terrorists in this country have committed. Nnamdi Kanu is not as worse as Sunday Igboho. Nnamdi Kanu is not as demonic as the line of terrorists that are lined up in the north. They're everywhere. Nnamdi Kanu is not as evil as the bandits that spread out. That you have a bandit that will come and have a meeting with the Nigerian state operatives. Yet Nnamdi Kanu, who did not carry a gun, who did not do anything that is inhuman to speak like this set of people, is kept incarcerated in a cell. It's time for Nnamdi Kanu to come out from the prison, and we can move forward for a political dialogue on how we can reintegrate the Igbo people back to the nation state called Nigeria. There is a huge crisis among the political elite. Now, the lack of cohesion amongst the political elite is one factor that we need to also ask ourselves. Now, you need to find yourself, who are the governors of the Southeast? How did they get to where they are? You are talking about Mba, who just defected to APC. You're talking about Alex Uti. You're talking about Soludo. You're talking about several of the governors in the Southeast. Yes, Francis Wifre and Hope Uzodinma and the rest of them. Now, if I ask you one particular question, in yourself, based on the assessment of all that has happened, do you think that Hope Uzodinma would support the release of Nnamdi Kanu? There's no way he will support it.
Why do you think so?
Why I think so is because before his incarceration, you saw the battle, not only the media battle, you saw the punches, you saw not only the verbal punches, you saw the political volleys that was going on between himself and the governor of Imo State. Now, not only that, he sees Hope Uzodinma sees Nnamdi Kanu as one of those who had made Imo State ungovernable for himself. So no right-thinking or rational governor will want Nnamdi Kanu to come out. But it is time to understand that this is a statesman. I am now a statesman that governs a people, and these parochial things should not be features or factors that I should look into, but rather it should be things I will consider in a broader perspective. So to your question, why is it that people like Hopo Uzodinma, who is a governor, will not want to Nnamdi Kanu? I have just addressed that. He will not want, because that time he made it in a way that it becomes very uncomfortable for him to govern the state. So Hopo Uzodinma said. Now, for other governors, you need to understand the background of Oti himself. Oti is not a very noisy person. Oti is a very sound, professional, laid back, but organized political leader that is doing much in Abia. And that is his constituency. I do know of a certainty that old OT has been at the background doing a whole lot for Nnamdi Kanu to come out, even though he might not come out in the media to talk about it. But there's a lot of work that's been going on the ground to see how Nnamdi Kanu will come out. First, it is his constituency, because that is where he comes from. Secondly, it will also be a political plus for him. Thirdly, it will now also bolster his chances of re-election. Fourthly, it will put him in a position to even get closer to the president, and also to see how they can project the Igbo cause. So I see him being at the forefront of this particular campaign, but he is being also very, very cautious in his movement. Now, for people like Wunfrey of Airborne, I can see neither here nor there where he is. Of course, you should understand his political mentor, Umahi. Umahi is vehemently opposed to anything that has to do with the Biafran cause. So I do not see any difference. I do not see any impact. I do not see any way his boy to speak, or his political son will want to go to want to do what he doesn't want to do. So that's for Ebonyi himself. Now for Soludo, you know Soludo's position regarding this. Soludo does not take kindly to anything that has to do with this Biafran cause and all that. And he has voiced that over time. It's not hidden. His position is very clear. Now to your question, why is it that the Southeastern governors are reluctant to come out forcefully to now, as an umbrella body, to see how they can get Nnamdi Kanu out of incarceration? The answer simply is this: everybody is scared of his position of governor, and that how impact on him either during his re-election or their continual governance of the particular state. That is the reason. They're just being selfish about it, and that's why it's down.
Well, the first thing I have to say is that I said at the time, and this was what got me into serious trouble, because they felt that by making such statement, in fact, it was singled out. By making such a statement, I was trying to demoralize the federal side and actively promoting the Biafran cause. When I said, and I wrote, I said, you cannot defeat Biafra. I said, and people thought I was merely talking of they took a very simplistic approach to understanding that. I thought I was talking about the battlefield, on the battlefield. Well, that was involved as well, because when the people are determined, they are willing to sacrifice anything to preserve their identity. When they feel they are on a righteous cause, it's difficult to defeat them. Yes. If there's any, shall we say, military defeat, it's only temporary. The real issue remains unsolved. I mean, that's a lesson of history all over the world. Yes. And so when I made that statement, I was saying, do they have that notion, that concept, and all that it involved, both antecedents and the present, and also, in fact, including the future, seeing what the people who are determined to go on their own, seeing what they could become. That is part and parcel of the cause. And when you have that kind of binding combination of different causes, it's very difficult to defeat them. And so Nnamdi Kanu represents that concept. He is one of the younger generation who inherited a burden of defeat, of resentment, and a determination, in their view, not to make the mistakes of even their predecessors. They have a new will, they have a new... for me, it's just counterproductive.
Yes. I want to talk about literature, profile education. Obviously, you won the Nobel Prize for Literature, the first African, I believe, to have won that prestigious prize. And looking at where our standard of education is now, we're talking in the car coming here, how it's dropped so far. what would you say? How would you describe it today? And how do you think we can solve it? How can we get better universities, better lecturers, a more engaging student group? How can we come back again to where I believe, according to you, we were before in the past when it comes to our education standards?
It requires a whole revamp of our mentality. The idea that you can rush people through a course and at the end give them a certificate, dealing with using the yardstick of quantity rather than quality, that has to be expunged. In fact, it's not the school, it's not the pupils and the students who have to be re-educated first. It's the teachers themselves. They have to totally abandon this idea that education is perfunctory and go back to those early times when education was educating the entire person, not education by rote, memorize and pour things down, regurgitate whatever is put in your head, but exposing young people to experience.
Kanu was in court.
Was what?
Was in court today. So we really want to know what's the position?
His case is pending in court.
Yes.
I cannot comment on pending proceedings.
Okay.
I cannot comment on pending proceedings. You understand me? Because like you said, the case was in court today. All I can do for me is that is a matter that should be sorted out outside the courtroom. For me, it's a political case. Yeah, and if you have a situation where some governments are negotiating with bandits or the criminal elements, there can be no basis for not having that matter resolved politically. I decided to pay a courtesy call on the governor of Abia State, Dr. Alex Oti, who actually used to be my comrade. Maintain a relationship, and it wouldn't be proper if I didn't inform His Excellency that I'm in his state. As they say in my place, you don't pass through the Oba's palace without saying, without paying your obeisance. I just came to let the governor know I'm in town, and then we had cause to discuss a couple of things. Well, I've been coming here since the inauguration of the civilian government since 1999. And I can say without any fear of contradiction and self-governance, which was not there before. I've seen evidence of physical development. I've also spoken to people. It's not enough to go around and see physical development without finding out from the people how they are faring. And I've had very positive comments from the people. And so part of my discussion with His Excellency is how to intensify these efforts and ensure that the people remain the center of the administration. The people must benefit from the dividends of democracy. And that is the best measurement. I've gone around, I've seen gurus, seen good schools, hospitals, and I am very confident that the government can do much more than he has done. He owes some of us a duty, right, to ensure that it does not disappoint the people. Some of us will not spare him if he does disappoint the people.
Yeah. Nnamdi Kanu was in court today.
Was what?
Was in court today. So we really want to know what's the position?
His case is pending in court.
Yes.
I cannot comment on pending proceedings. I cannot comment on pending proceedings. You understand me? Because like you said, the case was in court today. All I can do for me is that is a matter that should be sorted out outside the courtroom. For me, it's a political case. Yeah, and if you have a situation where some governments are negotiating with bandits or the criminal elements, I mean, there can be no basis for not having that matter resolved politically.